Hello, everyone. What's going on? Give me one sec. I should always do stuff as soon as I hit live. Boom, boom, boom. All right, now we're good. How you guys doing? Yes, I'm glad you're finally catching one of these. How are you guys? Go easy on Sansa. I'm not the biggest Sansa fan, but I don't hate her. She's not like the worst. Maybe this chapter is going to prove that she's the worst. But I'm curious if she has the same kind of transformation from in the adaptation, or in the book from the adaptation. Like, is she an insufferable character in the book? And does she go from being terrible to being great? Or is she just always great? Is she just always terrible? I don't know. We'll see. The chapters are really good. I'm finding myself maybe overanalyzing some of these chapters. I feel like there's like something in each of these chapters that is trying to communicate something to me. Oh, Sansa is one of the characters greatly changed in the show. Interesting. Okay. What's up, Wes? Wes, my dog, is eating a little peanut butter cup. Not like a actual peanut butter cup. Like a peanut butter in a cup. Right here, and he's licking it. But he's just looking at me. So he might lick that. So you guys might hear some constant licking in a bit. We'll see. What's up, buddy? You just hanging out? You just looking at me like I'm crazy, talking to a camera? You don't even know what a camera is. What's up, dude? Okay, so I figured we're not going to do actually, someone told me that I have to read the next Bran chapter. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to read essentially the Sansa chapter. And the next one is the Ned chapter. And then the next one is the Bran chapter. And the Bran and the Ned chapter are short, but I feel like they'd be fun to read. Wes, you hear those people? So we got a good amount of reading tonight, almost 20 pages. But these are like 20 pages that go fast, to be honest. So I'm kind of excited for this. So we're just gonna jump right in. Try not to be specific. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard with spoilers, trying to not, because it's, again, I know the show, but I don't know the book. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I do know some things that are happening in the book. But I'm really like completely out of left field sometimes with things in the book. Like, I didn't even know Essos was called Essos for a while. So I have a lot to learn. We'll just say that. All right, let me exit out of all this stuff. All right, everyone. You guys ready to start? I figured we'll just jump right into it. This is the Sansa chapter. Sansa. Sansa? Sansa. Sansa. Sansa as in sand, or Sansa as in Sansa? I don't know. Sansa? Sansa. I'm going to mispronounce all the names anyway. You guys already know. I'm terrible at pronunciation. So we're just going to go with Sansa. All right, this is the Sansa chapter. Eddard Stark had left before dawn. Septa Mordane informed Sansa as they broke their fast. But they're on the road. Why? Hey, Michael, what's up? Michael, what book are you on, by the way? Yeah, we're on the King's Road. The king sent for him. Another hunt, I do believe. There are still wild aurochs in these lands, I am told. What's an auroch? I feel like they're pigs or something like that. Aurochs? I've never seen an aurochs, said Sansa, feeding a piece of bacon to a lady under the table. The direwolf took it from her hand. as delicate as a queen. Septimer Dane sniffed in disapproval. A noble lady does not feed dogs at her table, she said, breaking off another piece of comb and letting the honey drip onto her bread. She's not a dog. She's a direwolf, Sansa pointed out, as Lady licked her fingers with her rough tongue. Anyway, Father said we can keep them with us if we want. The Septa was not appeased. You're a good girl, Sansa, but I do vow, when it comes to that creature, you're as willful as your sister Arya. She scowled. And where is Arya this morning? She wasn't hungry, Sansa said, knowing full well that her sister had probably stolen down to the kitchens hours ago and wheedled a breakfast out of some of the cook boys. Do remind her to dress nicely today. The grey velvet, perhaps. We are all invited to ride with the Queen and Princess Myrcella in the royal wheelhouse, and we must look our best. I want to... Oryx is where we get the word ox. Interesting, they're hunting ox, wild cattle? Huh. I guess practical. They're trying to... a mean cow. Interesting. It's kind of funky. I guess they're doing it for practicality. They actually have to eat. Also, the carriage being pulled by 40 horses is insane. This thing must be massive. If anybody has any pictures of them, drop them in the Discord. Sansa already looked her best. She had brushed out her long auburn hair until it shone, and picked her nicest blue silks. She had been looking forward to it today more than a week. It was a great honor to ride with the Queen, and besides, Princess Joffrey might be there, her betrothed. Just thinking it made her feel a strange fluttering inside, even though they were not to marry for years and years. Sansa did not really know Joffrey yet, but she was already in love with him. He was all she ever dreamt of. He was all she ever dreamt her prince should be. Tall and handsome and strong with hair like gold. She treasured every chance to spend time with him, few as they were. The only thing that scared her about today was Arya. Arya had a way of ruining everything. You never know what she would do. I'll tell her, Sansa said uncertainly, but she'll dress the way she always does. She hoped it wouldn't be too embarrassing. May I be excused? You may, Septimer Dane helped herself to more bread and honey, and Sansa slid from the bench. Lady followed at her heels as she ran from the inn's common room. Outside, she stood for a moment amidst the shouts and curses and the creak of wooden wheels as the men broke down the tents and pavilions and loaded the wagons for another day's march. The inn was a sprawling 3-story structure of pale stone, the biggest that Sansa had ever seen. But even so, it had accommodations for less than a third of the king's party, which had swollen to more than 400 with the addition of her father's household and the free riders who would join them on the road. Are free riders a specific kind of people, or are free riders like just people who are wanting to join the king's caravan? That doesn't feel like you can do that. Who are the free riders? Who are free riders? Someone tell me who the free riders are. Also, everyone liked the stream. It just seems like they're randomly coming into the story right here. I feel like I've heard of them before, or maybe not. Maybe I haven't heard of the free riders. Free riders are like hedge knights. Okay, that makes sense. There was another term. Oh no, I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings. I'm thinking of the Wayne Riders because I'm in the appendices of Lord of the Rings right now. The Wayne Riders are different from the free riders. Okay, interesting. So free riders is just a bunch of random people, bunch of randos. And it feels like they shouldn't be able to ride with the king. That feels like it should be off limits. Interesting. Okay. Well. Where am I? She found Arya on the banks of the Trident, trying to hold Nymeria still while she brushed dried mud from her fur. The direwolf was not enjoying the process. Arya was wearing the same riding leathers she had worn yesterday and the day before. You better put on something pretty, Sansa told her. Septa Mordane said so. We're traveling in the Queen's wheelhouse with Princess Marcella today. I'm not, Arya said, trying to brush a tangle out of Nymeria's matted gray fur. Mike and I are going to ride upstream and look for rubies at the ford. Rubies, Sansa said, lost. What rubies? Arya gave her a look like she was so stupid. Rhaegar's rubies. This is where King Robert killed him and won the crown. Sansa regarded her scrawny little sister in disbelief. You can't look for rubies. The princess is expecting us. The queen invited us both. I don't care, Arya said. The wheelhouse doesn't even have windows. You can't see a thing. What could you want to see? Sansa said, annoyed. She had been thrilled by the invitation, and her stupid sister was going to ruin everything, just as she feared. It's all just fields and farms, and holdfasts. It is not, Arya said stubbornly. If you came with us sometime, you'd see. I hate riding, Sansa said fervently. All it does is get you soiled and dusty and sore. Arya shrugged. You're going to hear my dog eating some dinner right now. You're going to hear some dog cheese. Arya shrugged. Hold still, she snapped at Nymeria. I'm not hurting you. Then to Sansa, she said, when we were crossing the neck, I counted 36 flowers I never saw before. And Micah showed me a lizard lion. Now, really quick, I wanted to figure out on the map of Westeros. Where did Robert kill Rhaegar? Where are we right now? I love quartermaster.info, the map that it is, because you can kind of track people's journeys, which is kind of great. Sansa Stark, up to her. What is it? The Trident. So where's the Trident? Again, I gotta figure out. Okay, I kind of see there's a thing that looks like the Trident. Is that by the Vale of Arryn? It looks like a trident. The twins. So where is the trident? We passed the neck already. They said they passed the neck. Ruby's Ford in the Riverlands. The fingers? Are the fingers different from the trident? The fingers are what I'm looking at right now. The green fork, blue fork, red fork. There's too many things on this map right now. I gotta study this another time. Hold on, let me try to look this up on the Jon, Tyrion, Catelyn. What chapter are we even in? Bran, Tyrion, Bran, Catelyn, Jon 2, Arya. Is the trident the rivers? Oh, where the forks converge. Okay, that makes sense. So right by Crossroad Inn, by Derry. Okay. It's in the Riverlands. Okay, interesting. So that's where the battle happened. That's kind of close to Harrenhal. Interesting. Okay. Perfect. That's helpful. Thank you, everyone. That's your dinner, Wes. You're having a late dinner, buddy. Sansa shuddered. They had been 12 days crossing the neck. Man, 12 days across that. Okay, that makes sense. The neck is just the skinny part, I'm guessing. Yeah, the neck. There you go. From like Moat Caitlin probably to the Trident. 14 days. That makes sense. Or 12 days. Rumbling down a crooked causeway through an endless black bog. And she had hated every moment of it. The air had been damp and clammy. The causeway so narrow they could not make a proper camp at night. They had to stop right on the King's Road. Dense thickets of half-drowned trees pressed close around them, branches dripping with curtains of pale fungus. Huge flowers bloomed in the mud and floated on pools of stagnant water. But if you were stupid enough to leave the causeway to pluck them, there were quicksands waiting to suck you down, and snakes watching from the trees, and lizard lions floating half submerged in the water, like black logs with teeth and eyes. What are lizard lions? Crocodiles? In the north? That far north? What are lizard lions? Is this something that he's made? I'm gonna look this up. Oh, they're like crocodiles. They're gators in the north. That's actually terrifying. That's crazy. Dang. Okay. So I guess there's nothing there. So in the neck, it seems like it's just a big barren waste. Like there's no real cities there. It's just like you have the neck and then all of a sudden the north in the Barrowlands, and then you have Winterfell and a few towns up north. Feels like it's just nothing there. In New Jersey, where I live, we have something called the Meadowlands, which in my head is the neck right now. We haven't seen any directly. Interesting. Tend to assume it. Huh. Dire size gators. That is terrifying. All right. Wow. There you go. He's done with his dinner. Now he's lapping up some water. You guys can hear him. It's so distracting. I gotta put it in another room so he's good boy, bud. Sorry, that was so distracting. All right, let's keep reading. None of which stopped Arya, of course. One day she came back grinning on her horsey grin, her hair all tangled and her clothes covered in mud, clutching a raggedy bunch of purple and green flowers for father. Sansa kept hoping he would tell Arya to behave herself and act like the high-born lady she was supposed to be. But he never did. He only hugged her and thanked her for the flowers. That just made her worse. Then it turned out the purple flowers were called poison kisses, and Arya got a rash on her arms. Sansa would have thought that might have taught her a lesson, but Arya laughed about it. And the next day she rubbed mud all over her arms like some ignorant bog woman just because her friend Micah told her it would stop the itching. She had bruises on her arms and shoulders too, dark purple welts and faded green and yellow splotches. Sansa had seen them when her sister undressed for sleep. How she had gotten those only the seven gods knew. Arya was still going on. Hold on. Interesting, okay. Arya was still going on, brushing out Nymeria's tangles and chattering about things she'd seen on the trek south. Last week we found this haunted watchtower, and the day before we chased a herd of wild horses. You should have seen them run when they caught the scent of Nymeria. The wolf wriggled in her grass, and Arya scolded her. Stop that. I have to do the other side. You're all muddy. You're not supposed to leave the column, Sansa reminded her. The father said so. Arya shrugged. I didn't go far. Anyway, Nymeria was with me the whole time. I don't always go off either. Sometimes it's fun just to ride along with the wagons and talk to people. Sansa knew all about the sorts of people Arya liked to talk to. Squires and grooms and serving girls, old men and naked children, rough-spoken free riders of uncertain birth. Arya would make friends with anybody. This Micah was the worst. A butcher's boy, 13 and wild. He slept in the meat wagon and smelled of the slaughtering block. Just the sight of him was enough to make Sansa feel sick. But Arya seemed to prefer his company to hers. Sansa, come on. Just the sight of him is enough to make you feel sick? That's ridiculous. She just wants to be just a highborn. I mean, she is highborn. She wants to be a noble lady married to Joffrey. Not in the North anymore. Does she really want to be a Stark? It seems like she doesn't. Seems like she's everything that the Starks aren't. Sansa was running out of patience now. You have to come with me, she told her sister firmly. You can't refuse the queen. Septim Mordain will expect you. Arya ignored her. She gave a hard yank with the brush. Nymeria growled and spun away, affronted. Come back here. There was going to be lemon cakes and tea, Sansa went on. All adult and reasonable. Lady brushed against her leg. Sansa scratched her ears the way she liked, and Lady sat beside on her haunches, watching Arya chase Nymeria. Why wouldn't you want to ride, or why would you want to ride a smelly old horse and get all sore and sweaty when you could recline on feather pillows and eat cakes with the queen? Interesting. I don't like the queen, Arya said casually. Sansa sucked in her breath, shocked that even Arya would say such a thing. But her sister prattled on heedless. She won't even let me bring Nymeria. She thrust the brush under her belt and stalked her wolf. Nymeria watched her approach warily. A royal wheelhouse is no place for a wolf, Sansa said, and Princess Myrcella is afraid of them. You know that. Myrcella is a little baby. Arya grabbed Nymeria around her neck, but the moment she pulled out the brush again, the direwolf wriggled free and bounded off. Frustrated, Arya threw down the brush. Bad wolf, she shouted. Sansa couldn't help but smile a little. The kennel master once told her that an animal takes after its master. She gave Lady a quick little hug. Lady licked her cheek. Sansa giggled. Arya heard and whirled around, glaring. I don't care what you say. I'm going out riding. Her long, horsey face got the stubborn look that meant she was going to do something willful. Gods be true, Arya. Sometimes you act like a child, Sansa said. I'll go by myself then. It will ever be so much nicer that way. Lady and I will eat all the lemon cakes and just have the best time without you. She turned to walk off, but Arya shouted after her, They won't let you bring Lady either. She was gone before Sansa could think of a reply, chasing Nymeria along the river. Alone and humiliated. Ah. I am curious how she feels. She probably doesn't necessarily feel that all the time. Yeah, she's definitely a lady. Like, she's an interesting character right now because she probably doesn't feel alone. I'm curious if she does feel alone. I think she does. I think she feels very different and distinct from her family. But she probably drowns her loneliness out with the septa and with being a lady and with talking to other people. Maybe, I don't know. Because she's alone and humiliated here. She's like kind of facing what she's dealing with. I don't know what they were like before. Like, what was their family life? We get bits and pieces of that, but I don't know. Oh, she's a fourth grader? How old is she here? What did it say again? She's like 11, 10? Maybe, I think she's 12. Is she 12? Because Rob is what, 14? She's 12. Arya would be what, 10? 9? Bran is 7. And Rickon is 3. Sansa is 11. That's crazy. That really puts things into a different perspective. That is actually crazy to me. Their ages are so drastically different. They're so young. So all this, like, you need to keep that in mind. Like, this is something that I always talked about with like some of these children characters. Like Harry Potter is a great example. We like judge him based on adult standards, but you have to judge him based on child standards. She's just a kid. She's like trying to make it in the world. Not even trying to make it. She's just like bopping around. And Arya is the same. So all these people we have to judge as kids. That's crazy that she's that young. Sansa took the long way back to the inn. where she knew Septa Mordane would be waiting. Lady patted quietly by her side. She was almost in tears. All she wanted was for things to be nice and pretty, the way they were in songs. Why couldn't Arya be sweet and delicate and kind, like Princess Marcella? She would have liked a sister like that. We don't choose our family, huh? You know, it's interesting. I feel like her decision is going to be choosing her family over what she maybe desires. And I guess her desires might align then to her family. But I'm curious how loyal she is to her family right now. Like, how loyal is she to her father and to her mother? Is she really going to be pissed that she's left her mother? I mean, choice is obviously the thing that defines every single character in literature. But I'm curious. I think that this is going to be like her defining thing. The choice that she has to make with her family versus people that she wants to be around, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Sansa could never understand how two sisters, born only 2 years apart, could be so different. It would have been easier if Arya had been a bastard, like their half-brother Jon. She even looked like Jon, with the long face and brown hair of the Starks. Nothing of the lady mother in her face or her coloring. And Jon's mother had been common, or so people whispered. Once when she was littler, Sansa had even asked Mother if perhaps there hadn't been some mistake. Perhaps the Grumpkins had stolen her real sister. But Mother only laughed and said no. Arya was her daughter and Sansa's true-born sister. Blood of their blood. Sansa could not think why Mother would want to lie about it, so she supposed it had been true. As she neared the center of camp, her distress was quickly forgotten. A crowd had gathered around the Queen's wheelhouse. Sansa heard excited voices buzzing like a hive of bees. The doors had been thrown open, she saw. One second, I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Yeah, it's interesting that they keep talking about the descriptions, and Arya and Jon seem like the only ones that actually look like Ned. Because the rest of them are auburn hair, right? The rest of them are auburn hair like Catelyn. Yeah, she was raised by wolves. She might give the definition of someone being raised by wolves. Hair color equals team color. Interesting, okay. What do you mean by that? So half of them are auburn, half of them are black hair? This color symbolism and clues. Interesting. I would have played warrior cats at recess. Totally. Huh. The doors had been thrown open, she saw. Man, I gotta sneeze again. It's coming back. Jon's hair color is brown, not black. Okay, interesting. So Arya's is brown too. And the queen stood at the top of the wooden steps, smiling down at someone. She heard her say, "The council does us great honor, my lords, my good lords." "What's happening?" she asked the squire she knew. "The council sent riders from King's Landing to escort us the rest of the way," he told her. "An honor guard for the king." Anxious to see, Sansa let Lady clear a path through the crowd. People moved aside hastily for the direwolf. When she got closer, she saw 2 knights kneeling before the queen, in armor so fine and gorgeous that it made her blink. One knight wore an intricate suit of white enameled scales, brilliant as a field of new-fallen snow, with silver chasings and clasps that glittered in the sun. When he removed his helm, Sansa saw that he was an old man, with hair as pale as his armor. Yet he seemed strong and graceful for all that. From his shoulders hung the pure white cloak of the King's Guard. His companion was near 20, whose armor was steel plate of deep forest green. He was the handsomest man Sansa had ever set eyes upon. Tall and powerfully made, with jet black hair that fell to his shoulders and framed a clean-shaven face, and laughing green eyes to match his armor. Cradled under one arm was an antlered helm. Oh, its magnificent rack shimmering in gold. The Baratheons? At first, Sansa did not know the third stranger. He did not kneel with the others. He stood to one side beside their horses, a gaunt, grim man who watched the proceedings in silence. His face was pockmarked and beardless, with deep-set eyes and hollow cheeks. Though he was not an old man, only a few wisps of hair remained to him, sprouting above his ears. But those he had grown... Man, I gotta sneeze again. But those he had grown long as a woman's. His armor was iron gray. His armor was iron gray chainmail over layers of boiled leather, plain and unadorned. It spoke of age and hard use. Above his right shoulder, the stained leather hilt of a blade strapped to his back was visible. A two-handed great sword, too long to be worn at his side. Dang, I kind of like this guy. Whoever this is. I don't know who these people are. I forgot what that old guy's name is, but he's the captain of the Kingsguard. So, don't tell me who any of these people are. I'm going to take guesses. I'm sure we'll figure out in like literally the next few sentences. The first guy seems like Barristan Selmy, I'm guessing. I think that's what his name is. He's the captain of the Kingsguard. I don't know a lot of the characters' names in the show sometimes. An antlered helm? That's kind of cool. That seems Baratheon to me, but I don't know what the Baratheons would be doing. And yeah, you're right. Baratheons are not... Baratheons are not green. They're yellow and gold, or they're yellow and black, or gold and black. Who would this be? I thought Renly for a second, but that doesn't necessarily make sense that it would be Renly. Who is a pretty boy? Because he's not wearing... It's interesting because he's not wearing... I don't know who this is. I don't know who is a green. A Hightower? Are they green? Aren't the Hightowers like no more? And the third stranger, I don't know who that would be either. That's weird. Someone who looks old but isn't really old. Who has a long wispy hair. And was a sick sword. This guy's sword is my favorite. It might be Renly. I feel like this could potentially be Renly. Isn't this the Knights of Summer? The third guy, I do not know. Is this... No. Who the heck is the third guy? I'm so lost. All right, I'm gonna keep reading because I don't know who the third guy is. But I love the third guy so far. He did not kneel with the others. Is this wait, I'm gonna guess that this is Stannis. This has to be Stannis, no? I'm gonna guess this is Stannis. Hey, what's up, Nemo? Nemo, we are guessing who the three strangers are at the Kingsguard, or at the King's Path. I'm gonna guess this is Stannis. I'm gonna guess this is Stannis and Renly, but I feel like it's not. But I don't know. Weird. Okay, let's keep reading. We're on the Sansa chapter. The king has gone hunting, but I know he will be pleased to see you when he returns, the queen was saying to the two knights who knelt before her. But Sansa could not take her eyes off the third man. He seemed to feel the weight of her gaze. Slowly he turned his head. Lady growled. A terror as overwhelming as anything Sansa had ever felt filled her suddenly. She stepped backward and bumped into someone. Strong hands grasped her by the shoulders, and for a moment Sansa thought it was her father, but when she turned, it was the burned face of Sandor Clegane looking down at her. His mouth twisted in a terrible mockery of a smile. "You are shaking, girl," he said, his voice rasping. "Do I frighten you so much?" He did, and had since she first laid eyes on the ruin that fire had made of his face. Though it seemed to her now that he was not half so terrifying as the other. Still, Sansa wrenched away from him, and the hound laughed. Interesting that he's not half so terrifying as the other. This isn't the mountain, right? Still, Sansa wrenched away from him, and the hound laughed, and Lady moved between them, rumbling a warning. Sansa dropped to her knees to wrap her arms around the wolf. They were all gathered around, gaping, but she could feel their eyes on her. And here and there she heard muttered comments and titters of laughter. "A wolf," a man said, and someone else said, "7 Hills, that's a dire wolf." And the first man said, "What's it doing in camp?" And the hound's rasping voice replied, "The Starks use them for wet nurses." And Sansa realized the 2 stranger knights were looking down on her. And Lady, swords in their hands. And then she was frightened again and ashamed. Tears filled her eyes. She heard the queen say, "Joffrey, go to her." And her prince was there. "Leave her alone," Joffrey said. He stood over her, beautiful in blue wool and black leather, his golden curls shining in the sun like a crown. He gave her his hand, drew her to her feet. "What is it, sweet lady? Why are you afraid? No one will hurt you. Put your swords away, all of you. The wolf is her little pet, that's all." He looked at Sandor Clegane. "And you, dog, away with you. You're scaring my betrothed." The hound, ever faithful, bowed and slid away quietly through the press. Sansa struggled to steady herself. She felt like such a fool. She was a Stark of Winterfell, a noble lady, and someday she would be a queen. "It was not him, my sweet prince," she tried to explain. "It was the other one." The 2 strange knights exchanged a look. "Pain?" chuckled the young man in the green armor. The older man in white spoke to Sansa gently. "Sometimes Sir Ilyn frightens me as well, sweet lady. He has a fearsome aspect." Sir Ilyn? I don't remember Sir Ilyn. Who the heck is Sir Ilyn? Who is Ilyn Payne? Is Ilyn Payne in the show? I don't know. I'm going to look him up real quick. Should I look it up? Ilyn Payne. Oh, that's why she's scared. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. I shouldn't have looked that up, but who cares? Ilyn Payne. Okay. That's why she's scared of this guy. Interesting. Okay. He's a weird looking dude. But his sword is kind of sick though. I kind of love his sword. It's pretty sick. The 2 stranger knights exchanged a look. "Pain?" chuckled the young man in green armor. The older man in white spoke to Sansa. "Oftentimes Sir Ilyn frightens me as well, sweet lady. He has a fearsome aspect." As well he should. The queen had descended from the wheelhouse. The spectators parted to make way for her. "If the wicked do not fear the king's justice, you have put the wrong man in office." Sansa finally found her words. "Then surely you have chosen the right one, your grace," she said, and a gale of laughter erupted all around her. "Well spoken, child," said the old man in white. "As befits the daughter of Eddard Stark, I am honored to know you, however irregular the manner of our meeting. I am Sir Barristan Selmy of the King's Guard." Hey, I really loved Barristan in the show. He bowed. Sansa knew the name, and now the courtesies that Septa Mordane had taught her over the years came back to her. The Lord Commander of the King's Guard, she said, and counselor to Robert our king, and to Aerys Targaryen before him. The honor is mine, good knight. Even in the north, even in the far north, the singers praise the deeds of Barristan the Bold. The Green Knight laughed again. Barristan the Old, you mean? Don't flatter him too sweetly, child. He thinks over much of himself already. He smiled at her. Now, wolf girl, if you can put a name to me as well, then I must concede that you are truly our hand's daughter. Joffrey stiffened beside her. Have a care how you address my betrothed. I can answer, Sansa said quickly, to quell her prince's anger. She smiled at the Green Knight. Your helmet bears golden antlers, my lord. The stag is the sigil of the royal house. King Robert has 2 brothers. By your extreme youth, you can only be Renly Baratheon, Lord of Storm's End, and conciliar to the king. And so I name you. Conciliar to the king is what? So Renly has... Oh, that's right, because Stannis would be on Dragonstone right now? Yeah, ill and pain. That's actually so funny. Ill and pain. Renly is on the small counselor, Maester of Laws or Master of Laws. Okay, interesting. So Stannis is on, and then Renly is Lord of Storm's End. Okay, that makes sense. And a conciliar to the king. It was just on the council. Okay, counselor. Yeah, Nepo hire for sure. But he's got to have loyal people around him. So, you know, I don't mind that hire. As long as he's not the only hire. There are no old, bold sailors. That's a great proverb. I love that. All right, let's keep reading. The one thing that I have to say, too, about George R. R. Martin's writing, and this is different from some other writing that I'm reading at the moment, but it is such pleasant, easy to read writing. Some of his sentences are short, some of his sentences are long. There's not a ton of short words in all of his sentences. He mixes them up very well. It is like the easiest reading out loud experience that I've had in all the reading out loud experience that I've had. It's just a delight. Like everything just comes easier. And I really love an author who does that because it's just how I speak. It's good language. Okay. Lord of Storm's End and conciliar to the king, and so I name you. Sir Barristan chuckled. By his extreme youth, he can only be a prancing jackanapes, and so I name him. There was general laughter led by Lord Renly himself. The tension of a few moments ago was gone, and Sansa was beginning to feel comfortable, until Sir Ilyn Payne shouldered 2 men aside and stood before her unsmiling. He did not say a word. Lady bared her teeth and began to growl, a low rumble full of menace. But this time Sansa silenced the wolf with a gentle hand to the head. I am sorry if I offended you, Sir Ilyn, she said. She waited for an answer, but none came. As the headsman looked at her, his pale, colorless eyes seemed to strip the clothes away from her, and then the skin, leaving her soul naked before him. Still silent, he turned and walked away. Is he a mute? Yeah, Renly a descendant of the Laughing Storm. Totally. I love that. Oh, the Laughing Storm is the best character. Sansa did not understand. She looked at her prince. Did I say something wrong, Your Grace? Why will he not speak to me? Sir Ilyn has not been feeling talkative these past 14 years. Lord Renly commented with a sly smile. Is his tongue cut out? Joffrey gave his uncle a look of pure loathing, then took Sansa's hands in his own. Aerys Targaryen had his tongue ripped out with hot pincers. Dang! Why? Interesting. Why? He speaks most eloquently with a sword, however, the queen said, and his devotion to our realm is unquestioned. Then she smiled graciously and said, Sansa, the good conciliors and I must speak together until the king returns with your father. I fear we shall have to postpone your day with Myrcella. Please give your sweet sister my apologies. Joffrey, perhaps you would be so kind as to entertain our guests today. It would be my pleasure, mother, Joffrey said very formally. He took her by the arm and led her away from the wheelhouse. And Sansa's spirits took flight. A whole day with her prince. She gazed at Joffrey worshipfully. He was so gallant, she thought. The way he had rescued her from Sir Ilyn and the Hound, why, it was almost like the songs. Like the time Serwyn of the Mirror Shield saved Princess Derisa from the giants. Or Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight championing Queen Nerys' honor against her evil Morgul's slanders. I'm wondering if we know any of these people. The touch of Joffrey's hand on her sleeves made her heart beat faster. What would you like to do? Be with you, Sansa thought, but she said, whatever you'd like to do, my prince. Joffrey reflected a moment. We can go riding. Oh, I love riding, Sansa said. Joffrey glanced back at Lady, who was following at her heels. Your wolf is liable to frighten the horses, and my dog seems to frighten you. Let us leave them both behind and set off on our own. What do you say? Sansa hesitated. If you like, she said uncertainly. I suppose I could tie out Lady up. She did not quite understand, though. I didn't know you had a dog. Joffrey laughed. He's my mother's dog, in truth. She has set him to guard me, and so he does. Oh, you mean the Hound, she said. She wanted to hit herself for being so slow. Her prince would never love her if she seemed stupid. Is it safe to leave him behind? Prince Joffrey looked annoyed that she would even ask. Have no fear, lady. I am almost a man grown, and I don't fight with wood like your brother. All I need is this. He drew his sword and showed it to her. A long sword, adroitly shrunken to suit a boy of 12. Gleaming blue steel, castle forged and double-edged, with a leather grip and a lion's head pommel in gold. Sansa exclaimed over it admiringly, and Joffrey looked pleased. I call it lion's tooth, he said. What a little turd. I mean, I know about this guy, but what a turd. I'm curious if he's going to be as bad in the books. We'll see. Maybe I'll give Joffrey the benefit of the doubt so far. He is like still a little bit of a turd here, but he's not so bad so far. And so they left her direwolf and his bodyguard behind them. Meanwhile, they ranged east along the north bank of the Trident with no company save Lion's Tooth. It was a glorious day, a magical day. The air was warm and heavy with the scent of flowers, and the wood here had a gentle beauty that Sansa had never seen in the north. Prince Joffrey's mount was a blood bay, courser, swift as the wind, and he rode it with a reckless abandon, so fast that Sansa was hard-pressed to keep up on her mare. It was a day for adventures. They explored the caves by the riverbank and tracked a shadowcat to its lair. And when they grew hungry, Joffrey found a holdfast by its smoke and told him to fetch food and wine for their prince and his lady. They dined on trout fresh from the river, and Sansa drank more wine than she had ever drunk before. My father only lets us have one cup, only at feasts, she confessed to her prince. My betrothed can drink as much as she wants, Joffrey said, refilling her cup. It's interesting that Joffrey, I mean, obviously Joffrey commands people because he's a prince. But it's also really interesting that he would have the confidence to do that, I guess. A boy like 12. I guess this is being raised as a prince for your whole life. And another question that I have is, at what age does Joffrey then go to Dragonstone and is the heir apparent? Does that happen when you're like 15, 18, 21? Because shouldn't he be kicking Stannis out? In theory, it would be 16. Okay. Interesting. Dragonstone thing is weird now that Targaryens are gone. Joffrey was the heir as soon as he was born. Yeah. Stannis kind of has it for life. Interesting. That's weird. I guess we'll learn more about that, but that's really strange. All right, let's keep reading. Oh man, this chapter's going fast. They went more slowly after they had eaten. Joffrey sang for her as they rode, his voice high and sweet and pure. Sansa was a little dizzy from the wine. Shouldn't we be starting back? She asked. Soon, Joffrey said. The battleground is right up ahead, where the river bends. That was where my father killed Rhaegar Targaryen, you know. He smashed in his chest, crunch, right through the armor. Joffrey swung an imaginary warhammer to show her how it was done. Then my uncle Jaime killed old Aerys, and my father was king. What's that sound? Sansa heard it too, floating through the woods, a kind of wooden clattering. Snack, snack, snack. I don't know, she said. It made her nervous, though. Joffrey, let's go back. I want to see what it is. Joffrey turned his horse in the direction of the sounds, and Sansa had no choice but to follow. The noises grew louder and more distinct. The clack of wood on wood. And as they grew closer, they heard heavy breathing as well, and now and then a grunt. Someone's there, Sansa said anxiously. She found herself thinking of Lady, wishing the direwolf was with her. You're safe with me. Joffrey drew his lion's tooth from its sheath. The sound of steel and leather made her tremble. This way, he said, riding through a stand of trees. Beyond, in a clearing overlooking the river, they came upon a boy and a girl playing at knights. Their swords were wooden sticks, broom handles from the look of them, and they were rushing across the grass, swinging at each other lustily. The boy was a year older, a head taller, and much stronger, and he was pressing the attack. The girl, a scrawny thing, in soiled leathers, was dodging and managing to get her stick in the way of most of the boy's blows, but not all. When she tried to lunge at him, he caught her stick with his own, swept it aside, and slid his wood down hard on her fingers. She cried out and lost her weapon. Prince Joffrey laughed. The boy looked around, wide-eyed and startled, and dropped his stick into the grass. The girl stared at them, sucking on her knuckles to take the sting out. And Sansa was horrified. Arya, she called out incredulously. Go away, Arya shouted back at them, angry tears in her eyes. What are you doing here? Leave us alone. Joffrey glanced from Arya to Sansa and back again. Your sister? She nodded, blushing. Joffrey examined the boy, an ungainly lad with a coarse, freckled face and thick red hair. And who are you, boy? He asked in a commanding tone that took no notice of the fact that the other was a year his senior. Micah, the boy muttered. He recognized the prince and averted his eyes. My lord. He's the butcher's boy, Sansa said. He's my friend, Arya said sharply. You leave him alone. A butcher's boy who wants to be a knight, is it? Joffrey swung down from his mount, sword in hand. Pick up your sword, butcher's boy, he said, his eyes bright with amusement. Let us see how good you are. Micah stood there, frozen with fear. Joffrey walked toward him. Go on, pick it up. Or do you only fight little girls? She asked me to, my lord, Micah said. She asked me to. Sansa had only to glance at Arya and see the flush on her sister's face to know the boy was telling the truth. But Joffrey was in no mood to listen. The wine had made him wild. Are you going to pick up your sword? Micah shook his head. It's only a stick, my lord. It's no sword. It's only a stick. And you're only a butcher's boy and no knight. Joffrey lifted Lion's tooth and laid its point on Micah's cheek below the eye. As the butcher's boy stood trembling. That was my lady's sister you were hitting. Do you know that? A bright bud of blood blossomed. Gosh, come on, George. A bright bud of blood blossomed where his sword pressed into Micah's flesh, and a slow red line trickled down the boy's cheek. Stop it, Arya was screaming. She grabbed up her fallen stick. Sansa was afraid. Arya, you stay out of this. It won't hurt him. Or I won't hurt him. Much, Prince Joffrey told Arya, never taking his eyes off the butcher's boy. Interesting that this guy, he's already a psychopath. What a loser. And he's drunk too, so, I mean, that's not an excuse for him. The drunkenness just lets out his psychopath even more. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Yeah, he's a little loser. Arya went for him. Sansa slid off her mare, but she was too slow. Arya swung with both hands. There was a loud crack as the wood split against the back of the prince's head. And then everything happened at once before Sansa's horrified eyes. Joffrey staggered and whirled around, roaring curses. Micah ran for the trees as fast as his legs would take him. Arya swung at the prince again, but this time Joffrey caught the blow on Lion's Tooth and sent her broken stick flying from her hands. The back of his head was all bloody, and his eyes were on fire. Sansa was shrieking, No, stop it, both of you, you're spoiling it. But no one was listening. Arya scooped up a rock and hurled it at Joffrey's head. She hit his horse instead, and the bloodblade reared and went galloping off after Micah. Stop it, don't, stop it, Sansa screamed. Joffrey slashed at Arya with his sword, screaming obscenities, terrible words, filthy words. Arya darted back, frightening now. They're frightened now, but Joffrey allowed, hounding her toward the wood, backing her up against a tree. Sansa didn't know what to do. She watched helplessly, almost blind from tears. Then a gray blur flashed past her, and suddenly Nymeria was there, leaping, jaws closing around Joffrey's sword arm. The steel fell from his fingers as the wolf knocked him off his feet, and they rolled in the grass, the wolf snarling and ripping at him, the prince shrieking in pain. Get it off, he screamed, get it off. Arya's voice cracked like a whip. Nymeria! The direwolf let go of Joffrey and moved to Arya's side. The prince lay in the grass, whimpering, cradling his mangled arm. His shirt was soaked in blood. Arya said, She didn't hurt you much. She picked up Lion's Tooth where it had fallen and stood over him, holding the sword with both hands. That's great. I love the little play of words there. Do we get that in the show? She didn't hurt you much. Prince Joffrey goes, I won't hurt him much. Arya says, she didn't hurt you much. This is hinting at Arya's also psychopathic nature. Like, I want to say, like, you know, we all think that Joffrey deserves it and he gets what he deserves because he's a terrible person. But Arya is kind of right there with him of being a little bit insane. That there is a boy, imagine there is a boy covered in blood. His whole shirt is covered in blood. His arm's like a mangled mess. And then all of a sudden she goes, she didn't hurt you much. It's a little crazy. I mean, that's like kid stuff, but still, it's a little crazy. Joffrey made a scared, whimpery sound as he looked up at her. No, he said, don't hurt me. I'll tell my mother. You leave him alone, Sansa screamed at her sister. Arya whirled and heaved the sword into the air, putting her whole body into the throw. The blue steel flashed in the sun as the sword spun out over the river. It hit the water and vanished with a splash. Joffrey moaned. Arya ran off to her horse, Nymeria loping at her heels. After they had gone, Sansa went to Prince Joffrey. His eyes were closed in pain, his breath ragged. Sansa knelt beside him. Joffrey, she sobbed. Oh, look what they did, my poor prince. Don't be afraid. I'll ride to the holdfast and bring help for you. Tenderly she reached out and brushed back his soft blonde hair. His eyes snapped open and looked at her, and there was nothing but loathing there. nothing but the vilest contempt. Then go, he spit at her, and don't touch me. What a little boy. Okay, I mean, this is like pretty. I wonder how are you gonna send Nymeria away now? It felt like a pretty scene for scene remake of what was in the show. I don't, the show's a scene for scene remake of the book, but they portrayed it pretty well. All right, here we go. The Eddard chapter. They found her, my lord. Ned rose quickly. Our men or Lannisters? It was Jory. His steward, Vayenpool, replied. She's not been harmed. Thank the gods, Ned said. His men have been searching for Arya for 4 days now. But the Queen's men had been out hunting as well. Where is she? Tell Jory to bring her here at once. I am sorry, my lord, Poole told him. The guards in the gate were Lannister men, and they informed the Queen when Jory brought her in. She's been taken directly before the king. Damn that woman, Ned said, striding to the door. Find Sansa and bring her to the audience chamber. Her voice may be needed. He descended the tower steps in a red rage. He had led searches himself for the first 3 days, and had scarcely slept an hour since Arya had disappeared. This morning he had been so heartsick and weary he could scarcely stand. But now his fury was on him, filling him with strength. Men called out to him as he crossed the castle yard, but Ned ignored them in his haste. He would have run, but he was still the king's hand, and a king's hand must keep his dignity. He was aware of the eyes that followed him, of the muttered voices wondering what he would do. The castle was a modest holding, a half-day's ride south of the Trident. The royal party had made themselves the uninvited guests of its lord, Sir Raymond Derry. Interesting. The castle. So where are they right now? I gotta look this up on a map. Are they at Crossroad Inn? Or no, they're at Derry. Sir Raymond Derry. There's a town called Derry where Sir Raymond Derry lives. I mean, it makes sense, but come on. The royal party had made themselves the uninvited guests of its lord, Sir Raymond Derry, while the hunt for Arya and the butcher's boy was conducted on both sides of the river. They were not welcome visitors. Sir Raymond lived under the king's peace, but his family had fought beneath the Rhaegar dragon's banner at the Trident, and his 3 older brothers had died there. A truth neither Robert nor Raymond had forgotten. With king's men, Derry men, Lannister men, and Stark men all crammed into a castle far too small for them, tensions burned hot and heavy. The king had appropriated Sir Raymond's audience chamber, and that was where Ned found them. The room was crowded when he burst in. Too crowded, he thought. Left alone, he and Robert might have been able to settle the matter amicably. Robert was slumped in Derry's high seat at the far end of the room, his face closed and sullen. Cersei Lannister and her son stood beside him. The queen had her hand on Joffrey's shoulders. Thick silken bandages still covered the boy's arm. Arya stood in the center of the room, alone but for Jory Castle, every eye upon her. Arya, Ned called loudly. He went to her, his boots ringing on the stone floor. When she saw him, she cried out and began to sob. Ned went to one knee and took her in his arms. She was shaking. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm sorry. I know, he said. She felt so tiny in his arms, nothing but a scrawny little girl. It was hard to see how she had caused so much trouble. Are you hurt? No. Her face was dirty, and her tears left pink tracks down her cheeks. Hungry some. I ate some berries, but there was nothing else. We'll feed you soon enough, Ned promised. He rose to face the king. What is the meaning of this? His eyes swept the room, searching for friendly faces. But for his own men, there were few enough. Sir Raymond Derry guarded his look well. Lord Renly wore half a smile that might mean anything. And old Sir Barristan was grave. The rest were Lannisteren, and hostile. Their only good fortune was that both Jaime Lannister and Sandor Clegane were missing, leading searches north of the Trident. Why was I not told that my daughter has been found? Ned demanded, his voice ringing. Why was she not brought to me at once? He spoke to Robert, but it was Cersei Lannister who answered. How dare you speak to your king in that manner? At that, the king stirred. Quiet, woman, he snapped. He straightened in his seat. I am sorry, Ned. I never meant to frighten the girl. It seemed best to bring her here and get this business done with quickly. And what business is that? Ned put ice in his voice. The queen stepped forward. You know full well, Stark. This girl of yours attacked my son. Her and her butcher's boy. That animal of hers tried to tear his arm off. That's not true, Arya said loudly. She just bit him a little. He was hurting Micah. Joff told us what happened, the queen said. You and the butcher's boy beat him with clubs while you set your wolf on him. That was not how it was, Arya said, close to tears again. Ned put a hand on her shoulder. Yes, it is, Prince Joffrey insisted. They all attacked me, and she threw Lion's Tooth in the river. Ned noticed that he did not so much as glance at Arya as she spoke. Liar, Arya yelled. Shut up, the prince yelled back. Enough, the king roared, rising from his seat, his voice thick with irritation. Silence fell. He glowered at Arya through his thick beard. Now, child, you tell me what happened. Tell it all, and tell it true. It is a great crime to lie to a king. Then he looked over at his son. When she is done, you will have your turn. Until then, hold your tongue. As Arya began her story, Ned heard the door open behind him. He glanced back and saw Vayan Poole enter with Sansa. They stood quietly at the back of the hall as Arya spoke. When she got to the part where she threw Joffrey's sword into the middle of the trident, Renly Baratheon began to laugh. The king bristled. Sir Barristan, escort my brother from the hall before he chokes. Lord Renly stifled his laughter. My brother is too kind. I can find the door myself. He bowed to Joffrey. Perchance later you'll tell me how a 9-year-old girl the size of a wet rat managed to disarm you with a broom handle and throw your sword in the river. I love that line. I love Renly. Renly's my new favorite right now. As the door swung shut behind him, Ned heard him say, Lion's Tooth, and guffawed once more. I love Renly. It was great. Prince Joffrey was pale as he began his very different version of events. When his son was done talking, the king rose heavily from his seat, looking like a man who wanted to be anywhere but here. What in all the 7 hells am I supposed to make of this? He says one thing, she says another. They were not the only ones present, Ned said. Sansa, come here. Ned had heard her version of the story, the night Arya had vanished. He knew the truth. Tell us what happened. His eldest daughter stepped forward hesitantly. She was dressed in blue velvets trimmed with white, a silver chain around her neck. Her thick auburn hair had been brushed until it shone. She blinked at her sister, then at the young prince. I don't know, she said tearfully, looking as though she wanted to bolt. I don't remember. Everything happened so fast. I didn't see. You rotten, Arya shrieked. She flew at her sister like an arrow, knocking Sansa down to the ground, pummeling her. Liar, 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 liar. Stop it, Arya, Ned shouted. Jory pulled her back off her sister, kicking. Sansa was pale and shaking as Ned lifted her back to her feet. Are you hurt? He asked. But she was staring at Arya, and she did not seem to hear. This girl is as wild as that filthy animal of hers, Cersei Lannister said. Robert, I want her punished. 7 hells, Robert swore. Cersei looked at her. She's a child. What would you have me do? Whip her through the streets? Damn it, children. Fight. It's over. No lasting harm was done. The queen was furious. Joff will carry those scars the rest of his life. Robert Baratheon looked at his eldest son. So he will. Perhaps they will teach him a lesson. Ned, see that your daughter is disciplined. I will do the same with my son. Gladly, your grace, Ned said with vast relief. Robert started to walk away, but the queen was not done. And what of the direwolf? She called after him. What of the beast that savaged your son? The king stopped, turned back, frowned. I'd forgotten about the damned wolf. Ned could see Arya tense in Jory's arms. Jory spoke up quickly. We found no trace of the direwolf, your grace. Robert did not look unhappy. No, so be it. The queen raised her voice. 100 golden dragons to the man who brings me its skin. Dang, okay, now we know where Joffrey gets it. Also, there was another interesting line in the previous chapter. I made a video, and it'll come out tomorrow, comparing Cersei and not really comparing Cersei and Catelyn, but kind of, in some sense, comparing them. Because Catelyn says, I will butcher every... She says this. I will happily butcher every horse in Winterfell if that means Bran's eyes would open. And like, it's a good line. You know, she cares for her child. But that's maybe a little bit extreme to say that I will happily butcher every horse in Winterfell if it means that your son will wake up. Like, I don't know if I would say that. Those would be the words that would come out of my mouth. But, you know, maybe. And this is kind of the same idea. 100, and this is like their thing. She is someone who will do the work with her own dirty hands, and maybe the queen here will pay people to do her work. But I think Cersei is all about doing the work with her hands too. So it's just funny. Their comparison is actually really interesting. They kind of feel like the same person a little bit to me. Yeah, very, very mama bear for sure. Where am I? A costly pelt, Robert grumbled. I want no part of this woman. You can damn well buy your furs with Lannister gold. The queen regarded him coolly. I had not thought you so niggardly. The king I thought to wed would have laid a wolfskin across my bed before the sun went down. Robert's face darkened with anger. That would be a fine trick without a wolf. We have a wolf, Cersei Lannister said. Her voice was very quiet, but her green eyes shone with triumph. It took them all a moment to comprehend her words, but when they did, the king shrugged irritably. As you will. Have Sir Ilyn see to it. Robert, you cannot mean this, Ned protested. The king was in no mood for more argument. Enough, Ned. I will hear no more. A direwolf is a savage beast. Sooner or later, it would have turned on your girl the same way the other did to my son. Get her a dog. She'll be happier for it. That was when Sansa finally seemed to comprehend. Her eyes were frightened as they went to her father. No, he doesn't mean lady, does he? She saw the truth on his face. No, she said. No, not lady. Lady didn't bite anybody. She's good. Lady wasn't there, Arya shouted angrily. You leave her alone. Aw, Arya is standing up for Sansa and Lady here. We're really Lady. It's interesting, this idea of justice. Lady is being punished for something that she didn't do. But it's like Lady's being punished because of something that Sansa didn't do. Like, yeah, I don't know. There's something interesting going on here. Stop them, Sansa pleaded. Don't let them do it. Please, please. It wasn't Lady. It was Nymeria. Arya did it. You can't. It wasn't Lady. Don't let them hurt Lady. I'll make her be good. I promise. I promise. She started to cry. All Ned could do was take her in his arms and hold her while she wept. He looked across the room at Robert, his old friend, closer than any brother. Please, Robert, for the love you bear me, for the love you bore my sister, please. The king looked at them for a long moment, then turned his eyes on his wife. Damn you, Cersei, he said with loathing. Ned stood gently disengaging himself from Sansa's grasp. All the weariness of the past 4 days had returned to him. Do it yourself, then, Robert, he said in a voice cold and sharp as steel. At least have the courage to do it yourself. Robert looked at Ned with flat, dead eyes, and left without a word, his footsteps heavy as lead. Silence filled the hall. Where is the direwolf? Cersei Lannister asked when her husband was gone. Beside her, Prince Joffrey was smiling. The beast is chained up outside the gatehouse, Your Grace, Sir Barristan Selmy answered reluctantly. Send for Ilyn Payne. No, Ned said. Jory, take the girls back to the room and bring me ice. The words tasted of bile in his throat, but he forced them out. If it must be done, I will do it. Cersei Lannister regarded him suspiciously. You, Stark, is this some trick? Why would you do such a thing? They were all staring at him, but it was Sansa's look that cut. She is of the North. She deserves better than a butcher. He left the room with his eyes burning and his daughter's wails echoing in his ears. He found the direwolf pup, where they chained her. Ned sat beside her for a while. Lady, he said, tasting the name. He had never paid much attention to the names the children had picked, but looking at her now, he knew that Sansa had chosen well. She was the smallest of the litter, the prettiest and the most gentle and trusting. Aw, don't do this to me, George. Come on. You're going to give the dog a personality as soon as you're about to kill this dog? Aww. She looked at him with bright golden eyes. Aww. And he ruffled her thick gray fur. Shortly, Jory brought him ice. When it was over, he said, choose 4 men and have them take the body north. Bury her at Winterfell. That is lovely. All that way, Jory said, astonished. All that way, Ned affirmed. The Lannister woman shall never have this skin. I love that. Also, interesting to think if this means something else. She's not going to have the dog's skin, but she's going to have his skin. Does she want his skin? She's not going to have this skin. He emphasizes the this. He was walking back to the tower to give himself up to sleep at last when Sandor Clegane and his riders came pounding through the castle gate back from their hunt. There was something slung over the back of his destrier, a heavy shape wrapped in a bloody cloak. No sign of your daughter, Hand? The hound rasped down. But the day was not wholly wasted. We got her little pet. He reached back and shoved the burden off, and it fell with a thump in front of Ned. Bending, Ned pulled back the cloak, dreading the words he would have to find for Arya. But it was not Nymeria after all. It was the butcher's boy, Micah, his body covered in dried blood. He'd been cut almost in half from shoulder to waist by some terrible blow struck from above. You rode him down, Ned said. The hound's eyes seemed to glitter through the steel of that hideous dog-head helm. He ran. He looked at Ned's face and laughed, but not very fast. Oh my goodness. Why is everyone a psychopath in this book? Well, not everyone, but goodness gracious. It's funny that there's the moment where it says, where does it say this? This. There are small moments that I get very excited about for knowing who these characters are. Obviously, not everyone's a psychopath. But this is a really good contrast between it, because there's a moment where Sir Barristan says, "The beast is chained up outside the gatehouse, your grace." And then it says this, Sir Barristan Selmy answered reluctantly. Like, that's great. I love that this guy's answering this reluctantly, because he's not taking pleasure in the killing of a boy or the killing of a wolf. He doesn't want to do this. He knows that this isn't really justice. So he knows, even though he has to do what he's commanded to do, he still knows that this is wrong. Whereas the Hound, like, maybe this chapter is all about comparisons, just comparing a lot of different people. Yeah, no one's supposed to strike a prince, true, for sure, but you shouldn't ride down a child like that. And when you ride down a child, maybe you have to do that because the kid hurt the prince or whatever. But you also don't do this with enjoyment and glee, like the Hound is doing. Golly, these people are messed up. All right, well, we're in the middle of Westeros right here. Dang, these people are screwed up. All right, we're going to do one more chapter, which is the Bran chapter. Man. Yeah, Micah never touched Joffrey, for sure. Joffrey was just lying about it. Yeah, I'm with the small folk, too. Sir Dunk. Oh, give me Sir Dunk in this story right now. Honestly, that's a great exercise. What would Sir Dunk do in this story? Man, he would mash some people up. Oh, we need more Sir Dunk. Oh, man, I can't wait for the... I'll say, like George R. R. Martin, I would love him to finish these books. It'd be great if he finished these books. But I would really love if he wrote more Dunk and Egg stories. Oh, I would love that. Man. What a good short story collection. I want more of that. All right, here we go. Last chapter for the night. We're going to read the Bran chapter. It's a short chapter too. It seemed as though he had been falling for years. Fly, a voice whispered in the darkness. But Bran did not know how to fly, so all he could do was fall. Interesting. Weird. Maester Luwin made a little boy of clay, baked him till he was hard and brittle, dressed him in Bran's clothing, and flung him off a roof. Bran remembered the way he shattered. But I never fall, he said, falling. The ground was so far below him that he could barely make it out through the gray mist that whirled around him. But he could feel how fast he was falling, and knew what was waiting for him down there. Even in the dreams, you could not fall forever. He would wake up in the instant before he hit the ground, he knew. You always woke up in the instant before you hit the ground. And if you don't, the voice asked. The ground was closer now. Still far, far away, 1,000 miles away, but closer than it had been. It was cold here in the darkness. There was no sun, no stars, only the ground below coming up to smash him, and the gray mists, and the whispering voice. Hold on one sec, sorry. And the whispering voice. He wanted to cry. Not cry, fly. I can't fly, Bran said. I can't. How do you know? Have you ever tried? His voice was high and thin. This is like the Matrix. This is like Morpheus training Neo. His voice was high and thin. Bran looked around to see where it was coming from. A crow was spiraling down with him, just out of reach, following him as he fell. Help me, he said. I'm trying, the crow replied. Say, got any corn? Bran reached into his pocket as the darkness spun dizzily around him. When he pulled his hand out, golden kernels slid from between his fingers into the air. They fell with him. The crow landed on his hand and began to eat. Are you really a crow? Bran asked. Are you really falling? The crow asked back. It's just a dream, Bran said. Is it? Asked the crow. I'll wake up when I hit the ground, Bran told the bird. You'll die when you hit the ground, the crow said. It went back to eating corn. Bran looked down. He could see mountains now. There were peaks white with snow. And the silver thread of rivers and dark woods. He closed his eyes and began to cry. That won't do any good, the crow said. I told you the answer is flying, not crying. How hard can that be? I'm doing it. The crow took to the air and flapped around Bran's hand. You have wings, Bran pointed out. Maybe you do too. Bran felt along his shoulders, groping for feathers. There are different kinds of wings, the crow said. This is weird. Bran was staring at his arms, his legs. He was so skinny, just skin stretched taut over bones. He had always been so thin, or had he always been so thin? He tried to remember. His face swam up to him out of the gray mists, shining with light, golden. The things I do for love, it said. Bran screamed. The crow took to the air, cawing. Not that, it shrieked at him. Forget that. You do not need it now. Put it aside. Put it away. It landed on Bran's shoulder and pecked at him. And the shining golden face was gone. Weird. Bran was falling faster than ever. The gray mists howled around him as he plunged down toward the earth below. What are you doing to me? He asked the crow, tearful. Teaching you how to fly. I can't fly. You're flying right now. I'm falling. Every flight begins with a fall, the crow said. Look down. I'm afraid. Look down. Bran looked down and felt his insides turn to water. The ground was rushing up at him now. The whole world was spread out below him. A tapestry of white and brown and green. He could see everything so clearly that for a moment he forgot to be afraid. He could see the whole realm and everyone in it. He saw Winterfell as the eagles see it. The tall towers looking squat and stubby from above. The castle walls, just lines in the dirt. He saw Maester Luwin on his balcony, studying the sky through a polished bronze tube, and frowning as he made notes in a book. That's interesting. Is he reading the stars? It's interesting that he's frowning. I guess he's maybe going to see a long winter coming or something. He saw his brother, Robb, taller and stronger than he remembered him, practicing swordplay in the yard, with real steel in his hand. He saw Hodor, the simple giant from the stables, carrying an anvil to Mycon's forge, hefting it onto his shoulder as easily as another man might heft a bale of hay. That is crazy. At the heart of the Godswood, the great white weirwood brooded over its reflection in the black pool, its leaves rustling in a chill wind. When it felt Bran watching, it lifted its eyes from the still water and stared back at him knowingly. He looked east and saw a galley racing across the waters of the Bight. He saw his mother sitting alone in a cabin, looking at the blood-stained knife on the on a table in front of her. As the rowers pulled at their oars and Sir Roderick leaned across the rail, shaking and heaving. A storm was gathering ahead of them, a vast dark roaring, lashed by lightning, but somehow they could not see it. He looked south and saw the great blue-green rush of the Trident. He saw his father pleading with the king, his face etched with grief. He saw Sansa crying herself to sleep at night, and he saw Arya watching in silence and holding her secrets hard in her heart. Huh. There were shadows all around them. There were shadows all around them. One shadow was dark as ash, with the terrible face of a hound. Another was armored like the sun, golden and beautiful. Over them both loomed a giant in armor made of stone. But when he opened his visor, there was nothing inside but darkness and thick black blood. Over them both loomed a giant in armor made of stone. But when he opened his visor, there was nothing inside but darkness and thick black blood. What the heck is going on here? He lifted his eyes and saw clear across the narrow sea, to the free cities, and the green Dothraki sea and beyond, to vast Dothrak under its mountain, to the fabled lands of the Jade Sea, to Ashai by the shadow, where dragons stirred beneath the sunrise. Huh? Finally, he looked north. Is this the entire book in one chapter? Finally, he looked north. He saw the wall shining like blue crystal, and his bastard brother Jon sleeping alone in a cold bed, his skin growing pale and hard as the memories of all warmth fled from him. This is crazy. And he looked past the wall, past endless forests cloaked in snow, past the frozen shore and the great blue-white rivers of ice, and the dead plains where nothing grew or lived. North and north and north he looked, to the curtain of light at the end of the world. And then beyond that curtain, he looked deep into the heart of winter, and then he cried out, afraid, and the heat of his tears burned on his cheeks. Now you know, the crow whispered as it sat on its shoulder. Now you know why you must live. Why? Bran said, not understanding, falling. Because winter is coming. Bran looked at the crow on his shoulder, and the crow looked back. It had 3 eyes, and the third eye was full of a terrible knowledge. This is so apocalyptic. There was nothing below him now but the snow and the cold and death. A frozen wasteland where jagged blue-white spires of ice waited to embrace him. They flew up at him like spears. He saw the bones of 1,000 other dreamers impaled upon their points. He was desperately afraid. Can a man still be brave if he's afraid? He heard his own voice saying, small and far away. And his father's voice replied to him, that is the only time a man can be brave. So he's seeing past, present, and future. Now, Bran, the crow urged, choose. Fly or die. Death reached for him, screaming. Bran spread his arms and flew. Wings unseen drank the wind and filled the air and pulled him upward. The terrible needles of ice receded below him. The sky opened up above. Bran soared. It was better than climbing. It was better than anything. The world grew small beneath him. I'm flying, he cried out in delight. I've noticed, said the three-eyed crow. It took to the air, flapping its wings in his face, slowing him, blinding him. He faltered in the air as its pinions beat against his cheeks. Its beak stabbed at him fiercely, and Bran felt a sudden, blinding pain in the middle of his forehead between his eyes. What are you doing? He shrieked. The crow opened its beak and caught at him. A shrill scream of fear in the gray mists shuddered and swirled around him, and ripped away like a veil. And he saw that the crow was really a woman. A serving woman with long black hair, and he knew her from somewhere. From Winterfell. Yes, that was it. He remembered her now, and then he realized that he was in Winterfell. In a bed, high, in some chilly tower room. And the black-haired woman dropped a basin of water to shatter on the floor and ran down the steps shouting, "He's awake, he's awake, he's awake." Bran touched his forehead, between his eyes. The place where the crow had pecked him was still burning. But there was nothing there. No blood, no wound. He felt weak and dizzy. He tried to get out of bed, but nothing happened. And then there was movement beside the bed, and something landed lightly on his legs. He felt nothing. A pair of yellow eyes looked into his own, shining like the sun. The window was open, and it was cold in the room, but the warmth that came off the wolf enfolded him like a hot bath. His pup, Bran realized, or was it? He was so big now. He reached out to pet him, his hand trembling like a leaf. When his brother Robb burst into the room, breathless from the dash up the tower steps, the direwolf was licking Bran's face. Bran looked up calmly. "His name is Summer," he said. What the heck? What a weird but good chapter. I have so much that I want to think about and talk about with that chapter. So he can see past, present, and future. Was that the entirety of the book in one chapter? I feel like I need to overanalyze that one. The last real vision that we got was Jon on the bed. And then he goes to the frozen north. And I love that. Yeah, it's a good name too. This chapter is trippy. I feel like I need to sit and just analyze this chapter. Like, I almost want to read it again right now. And analyze every word in this chapter. The baptism of green blood. It was right over my head. It does feel like it's foreshadowing everything. It was all current events, but symbolic of future events. Oh, interesting. Oh, man. This is going to be so good. It's like a near and far fulfillment of prophecies. This is crazy. This really is. This is so good. Hold on. Like this line, he saw his father pleading with the king. The near idea of that is he's pleading with the king for the wolf. But really, is he pleading for the king with his head, for his head? Dang. Over them both. Wait. There were shadows all around them. One shadow was dark ash, with the terrible face of a hound. Another was armored like the sun, golden and beautiful. Over them both loomed a giant in armor made of stone. Golden and beautiful. Over them both loomed a giant in armor made of stone. But when he opened his visor, there was nothing inside but darkness and thick black blood. What the heck is going on here? I really like this chapter. I feel like I need to sit and like dissect this chapter for another long while. Um, yeah, totally. I feel like this is one of those chapters where I might get obsessed with and might read this like, 20 times before I fall asleep right now and really might try to overanalyze this. But I don't know some of the things that are happening. Some of this is way beyond my understanding of it right now. Like, I think this is kind of going to be fun too because I feel like people can probably come back to these chapters and try to piece things together that are in these chapters that maybe you don't know in the future of the book. What a funky chapter. So weird. Man, I have a lot to think about that. I'm just befuddled right now. The imagery of the shadows is going to become obvious later. Okay, interesting. Okay. All right, well, I have a lot to think about. That chapter really threw me off in like one of the best possible ways. When's the next Bran chapter? All I want now are Bran chapters. You have a Catelyn chapter, a Jon chapter, an Eddard chapter, a Tyrion chapter, an Arya chapter, a Daenerys chapter. Come on, give me a Bran chapter. A Bran chapter. On page 200. Excellent. What a weird chapter that was. I'm pretty pumped for this. Man, I'm really enjoying this book, guys. Like, some of the themes are a bit more, I'm not going to say embedded, but kind of. Maybe it's just more modern writing. Yeah, for sure. I want that dream sequence. I want the show to do that. That'd be so interesting and so cool. Yeah, he's like thrust into this world immediately. Makes me wonder what the heck this really is. What is the three-eyed raven really? Does that get revealed in the books later? Like what that actually is? Because I don't know. And then the thing was pecking at him, and then he touched it, and it was hot. But is that just him feeling his forehead, and his forehead's hot? Maybe he has like a fever. I don't know. That's weird. Maybe she was rubbing his forehead, pecking at his forehead. Maybe that's how you come out of a coma. Chinese water torture. Weird. Has anyone had dreams yet off screen? Yeah, that's right. House of the Dragon did have a dream sequence. I don't think anybody in the book so far has had a dream except for this one. I don't think it's talked about any dreams. I don't think. Maybe it has, but I gotta keep my eye out for that now. Yeah, that Jennifer Lawrence meme is the perfect meme for this book. What do you mean? 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 I just keep thinking that with George R. R. Martin. It's like everything has deeper meaning to it that he's not going to reveal yet. It does feel like I want to give his writing a different genre. Like, I don't know if this is an actual term, but I feel like his writing is like apocalyptic fantasy. Not in the sense that the world is going to end, which is really kind of apocalyptic, but like the way that he writes, there's so much weird meaning in. Like, it feels like if you're reading some kind of like prophecy of religion, it feels like that kind of writing. Like, you're like, what the heck is this talking about? It's fun, but it's weird. Goes right over my head sometimes. Man, okay, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun to keep doing these reads. All right, well, I'm gonna jump off, guys. I'm gonna go take my dog for a pee break and then probably read this 10 more times before I go to bed. But thanks for joining. Got another video coming out tomorrow. Probably maybe a few more about these chapters that I just read. At least maybe I probably will have definitely one in this chapter, at least one, and then one or two on the previous ones. So more of that coming out in the next few weeks, and then probably sometime next week we'll do another live read. So thanks for joining, guys. This was fun. I really enjoyed it, and I hope I don't have a weird trippy dream tonight because I read that, but we'll see. I'll see you guys later. Here we go. Ready? Here's everyone say bye to the Night King, if this is even the Night King.